Hi, folks. Steve Urban here, founder and CEO at Riderflex. We hope you enjoy today's podcast. And as a reminder, please subscribe to the Riderflex show for updates on new episodes. And by the way, if you haven't already, check out the book we recently launched, The Riderflex Guide, Inspiring and Hiring, available for purchase on Amazon. And now, a quick word from our sponsor.
Try the #1 marketing platform for small business. Everything you need from design to marketing to CRM. Learn more at marketing360.com. Marketing 360. Fuel your brand.
Derek Notman on the Riderflex podcast. Hello, Derek. How are you?
Hey, Steve. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, man. Have a good conversation today.
Happy holidays. We're recording this on December 13th, so I hope you're enjoying the holidays so far.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, we're having some family coming to town here in the next couple of weeks and just enjoying the season.
You know, I am near Fort Collins, Colorado, just south of there. And so when I saw your LinkedIn, I was like, oh, he's in Cheyenne. Maybe we can connect or something. But because your LinkedIn says Cheyenne, but you live in Florida, huh?
That is correct. Yeah. So, corporate stuff is all based in Wyoming, but we tend to bounce around a bit, and we are in Florida currently and loving it.
And is that a tax deal, tax perspective from Cheyenne, or was there a partner there? What was the strategy?
Privacy, taxes, it just made sense, given how Wyoming does things. So it worked out really well. And we're in Florida because we love the ocean. So we're right by the water. We can go surfing, that kind of thing. So found the best mix of both.
Well, that's great. Yeah. What part of Florida?
We're just on the Space Coast, just south of like Cocoa Beach, that area.
Okay. Yeah. Very good. Okay. Nice. What's your weather like today? Probably good, right?
Well, today it's like partly cloudy and it's only going to get up to about like maybe 80.
Oh man, you're rubbing it into all the other listeners. And you went to school in Minnesota, so I know that you fully understand what freezing and snow is like for sure.
Oh, I grew up in it. I'm used to it. I spent many years in cold temperatures, so it's nice to be out of it.
Did you grow up in Wisconsin?
Nope, grew up in Minnesota. Born in Ireland, actually. Grew up in Minnesota.
Okay.
Spent some time in Vermont, spent time in Wisconsin, traveled a ton around the world. So we've bounced around a bit.
Okay, very cool. What'd your folks do?
My dad was a physician. So,
okay.
Yeah, he was in school overseas. My mom is South African. So I'm kind of a mutt, I guess. I'm from all over the place and, just have more of a global perspective, I suppose.
Oh, that's pretty cool. All right, very good. Mom, dad still alive, still married? What's the status? And do you have any siblings?
So still alive, but not together. Been divorced for some time now. So I got to go through that fun experience as a child.
Oh, as a child. Okay. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah, no bueno there. And then also I do have siblings, 2 brothers and a sister.
Okay.
And
Are they're
spread out? They're all spread out as well.
Okay, very good. And you said we several times in Florida. So you got a partner, spouse, or what's going on there?
My wife and I, we've been together, dating and married almost 20 years now, actually.
Okay.
So been around, and then we've got an 11-year-old boy and then our dog as well. So that's
very nice.
The small little family.
How'd you meet her?
I moved in across the street from her in college.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Yeah, like a rental house. All right.
Yeah, man. It was just pure luck.
Very good. Good for you. Okay, very good. And then just real quick with your childhood and adolescent life, were you a good kid? Were you a rebel kid? Were you somewhere in the middle? Just give us a taste of kind of how you grew up there.
Yeah, that's a funny question. I mean, like my parents separated when I was like 6 or 7. So we had a pretty, like, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term, messed up, home life, bouncing back and forth. So there was probably some rebellion there, but not terrible. I never got in any serious trouble or anything like that. And my outlet was work. I actually started a lawn mowing business when I think I was 10.
Okay.
In the neighborhood. And then when I was 14, I was able to actually start a real job, quote unquote. And, just poured my energy into work. I was not a great student, B minus, C plus student.
Okay. All right.
And just, I worked a lot. That was most of my, and then a gearhead. I love messing around with cars too. So
You do. That's a hobby then for you, huh? Okay. What do you got in the garage that might be interesting to
I've got
listeners?
a 65 Mustang.
Oh, all right. Very good. You take it out on like Saturday afternoons? Like what is that? Is it
Yeah, I don't drive it as much as I should, but yeah, it's fully restored. So now it's just I tinker on it, do this, do that, take it out for Sunday breakfast, or whatever.
very cool? Very
Got to
cool.
be careful on the coast here because of the salt. So it depends on which way the
Mm.
wind is blowing. So we
Mm.
make sure. But yeah, that's fun to tinker around with. I can't mess with the new cars these days. They're too electronic. There's not enough room to work on them. Give me the old stuff any day.
Yeah. Now your 11-year-old son, he's got to think that's super cool.
He already wants to drive it to prom. And it's awesome. So he loves it. He helps do stuff on it. And we're actually talking now about buying probably like a 1970s Bronco and restoring it. So that'll be his first car when he turns 16.
Now you are a money guy. So I'm going to assume when it comes to adult toys, toys, cars, boats, whatever, RVs, I'm going to assume you don't buy a lot of stuff that depreciates.
No. No, I struggle with that for sure. It just goes against the grain. So I want to buy assets instead of liabilities.
Yes.
So that's important. Keep your personal overhead low, things of that nature.
I'm sitting in a travel trailer right now. And, when we bought it for travel, I told my wife, I said, there's just nothing positive about this from a financial perspective. I mean, there is nothing. You can't really say anything other than, it's wasted cash, but it's, I guess, the same money you'd spend on a hotel and other things. I guess somehow you justify it in your mind, but you're not getting anything back from it. It's the same for our ATVs. We have some ATVs and stuff we ride in the mountains in Colorado, and I just chalk all that up to, this is toy money that is not going to increase in value in any way.
It isn't, but you know what you are getting? You're getting stories. And
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Experiences, and that's worth something. I'll pay for experiences all day long.
That's a good point. Yep, that's a good point.
So I think that's okay because I mean, when you're 80, you probably aren't going to be riding around on an ATV in the mountains as you might be today. So live life to the fullest as much as you can. Just don't go into crazy debt to do it.
Amen, brother. You just hit it on the head right there. That's a good one. That's a great line. Great line. Yeah. Have fun, chase experiences, but don't go in crazy debt and don't do anything dumb financially. But yeah, that's a really good point. It's good to have a balance there. Appreciate you mentioning that. So going to school, I mean, I'm curious, right, about your major, what you majored in, and then where you ended up. What were you going to be, Derek? What was the plan? Because
I was going to be Indiana Jones.
That's what I thought.
Didn't turn out. Turns out that job was already taken.
Yeah, there's only like 3 of those guys on the planet, right?
Yeah. So that wasn't going to work. But as I mentioned, I was not a great student, and I actually applied for University of Minnesota in the Twin Cities, and I got into what's called University College there, which is like not their full admission. And I was like, well, I don't like that. That's going to delay my 4-year education. I need to look elsewhere. So that's why I applied to UMD up in Duluth and got into the regular liberal arts college and was a terrible student the first semester.
Too much partying or what? A little too much.
I wasn't a crazy partier, but I went from structure and in a world I was used to no structure other than what I imposed on myself, and in a whole new world. So first time I moved away from home and all that kind of stuff. So we had a little bit of fun, but nothing ever crazy. And so figuring all that out, and I pursued anthropology and archaeology because it was something that interested me. My dad's bachelor's degree was in anthropology, so I had some influence there.
Ah, I see. Okay.
So it was really interesting, but turns out my senior year, I come to find out that, man, I can't really get a job just with a bachelor's in this. So then had to kind of figure out what to do next.
Yeah, right. That would be yeah. Is this the start of your senior year? You're trying to get internships. You're thinking, man, what am I going to do for a living? Somewhere in there, you start thinking, oh boy, I don't know.
I did start looking at this. So my junior year, I was supposed to actually go study in England for a full year.
Okay, cool.
And at the last minute, I backed out because my advisor, my student advisor, whatever you want to call him, said, hey, if you want to graduate in 4 years, don't go. And I thought that was more important than the experience I would have gotten. I was wrong. If I could go back and do it over, I would have gone to England. Silver lining, though, is I met my wife because I stayed back, because she had just been in England for a year and had come back. So if I had gone, I never would have met her.
Yeah. Is she Irish too?
No, nope. She was born and bred in Minnesota.
Okay. I didn't know. I didn't know if she was okay. She was just over there. Okay, gotcha.
She was just over there doing a study abroad program as well.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so senior year, I'm like, man, what am I going to do? I can go get my PhD, and by that time, I was kind of done with school.
Me too.
And I applied for some jobs like at the Forest Service because I thought I needed to do something in that area, and that was tough. Like there's not a whole lot of jobs up in northern Minnesota for archaeologists. So my wife, who's an educator, she has her master's in special education.
Okay.
She was interning at this treatment center in Duluth, and she's like, hey, they're hiring. I'm like, sweet, I need a job. So I had no experience So it was an at-risk treatment center for at-risk youth treatment center, residential treatment center.
Wow. You had no experience. Didn't go to school for that. Zero.
Zero. But the job was so hard and paid so little that they would hire almost anybody and train. I mean, I literally had kids trying to hit me with table legs. They'd bring knives. There were all we had convicted murderers coming in there we were taking care of. It was a really crazy situation. The people there were amazing, and most of the kids were actually pretty good once you got to know. They come from bad home life. But I did that. I ended up doing that for 3.5 years just to make some money and kind of figure out what I wanted to do.
Okay. All right. Interesting. By the way, before you move away from that, just a quick question. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here, but these kids that go there and end up being, quote, bad people because they came from a bad childhood, is that an acceptable excuse for them to turn out to be criminals, or should they turn it around? Do you feel like we should hold them?
That's a tough question. I mean, you were talking so this one child, his parents were both drug addicts, and as a toddler, they would shoot him up with heroin just to make him stop crying. So does that kid ever really have a chance? Can you really blame that kid when chemically there's something messed up now for the rest of his life? Right?
Oh, man, that is tough.
It's really tough stuff, Steve. So it's just
it's not black and white. Not a black and white answer, is it? No.
Many shades of gray, just like my hair. So it's not a black and white answer. Some kids, yes. Other kids, no. And a lot in between. Some of the kids were just really, really good kids. We had kids that they usually stay with us from 9 to 12 months, average stay.
Okay.
And then they would have most of them would have a lot of progress with us because they were loved, they were safe, they were fed, they were educated. It was a really great environment. The whole motto there was beauty was a silent teacher, and we just really took care of them.
That's nice.
When they would start to cry the day and start to freak out the days leading up to actually going back home, because they knew that they weren't going to get the same type of safe environment that they needed to thrive. So it was, definitely a lot on the family. I don't think any kid's really born wanting to be a bad person. There's a lot of environmental conditions that factor into it.
There's a good line.
Stories there. That's also a whole nother podcast.
We could do a whole nother show. We could do a whole nother show. Now, you and your wife didn't have kids right away, right? She had 11-year-old. So did that?
Correct.
Did that experience with you and her working in that environment cause you to hold? Were you like, okay, I don't even know if I want to have kids right now?
No, it definitely limited which names we wanted to pick because there were some bad memories.
Oh, that's funny. That's pretty good. Oh man. Okay. Yeah, I
But
was just
we
curious.
wanted to
Okay.
travel. We wanted to live a little bit. We wanted to travel the world a bit, and
Oh, I see. I see.
it is
Okay.
easier to do without a child. Not that, I
Oh,
mean, we
no
still
doubt.
do it with a child, but
Okay. All right. Very
yeah.
good. So yeah, walk us through your career then. I mean, I want to, obviously we gotta get to Couplr. And I want to talk all about that, but can you give us
Yeah, Cliff
an
Notes.
overview up to Couplr, if you don't mind? We'll kind of give us a little bit of an overview of how you stepped along to eventually get there. Go
Yeah.
for it.
Yep. So archaeology, didn't do that. Became a counselor, learned a ton about myself and working with people, which was cool.
Yeah,
But then
really good.
after about 3.5 years, my wife and I were like, you know what? Let's go do something different. So we sold our house, most of our stuff, packed up a U-Haul, and drove out to Vermont.
Where
Didn't
were
have
you?
job.
Where did you leave? You left Minnesota?
Duluth.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah, yeah.
Duluth.
Okay. Vermont. Went to
So
Vermont. Okay. All right.
no jobs. Didn't know a single person in the entire state.
You both
We
quit your
just
jobs?
yes. Yep. Yep. Sold our
Okay.
house, quit our jobs, and just went out there, and then ended up, buying another house a couple months later in northern Vermont. My wife went into teaching. She had her master's, so she was looking for a teaching job. So she was able to get that.
Okay.
We were unemployed for maybe 3 or 4 months.
Okay. That's not bad. Yeah.
And it wasn't terrible, no. And while I was looking, it was actually a lot of fun. We blew through our
Yeah.
savings, but we had fun. And while I was looking for a job, I needed to make some income because things were getting tight. So I was like digging basements by hand and whatever odd jobs I could find,
Really? Wow. Okay.
just to pay the bills. But I Vermont, so I knew I wanted to work with people. I learned that from working with the kids. I enjoyed helping people, and I've always had this fascination with money. So I was like, well, where can I go do both of those things? And I was super, super naive, just like I was going into the residential treatment center. I was super naive in this, but turns out when you want to work with people and money, most people become a financial advisor.
Okay.
So that's what happened. I did. I literally put my resume on monster.com. I was headhunted and recruited by a large, well, I can say it, by New York Life.
Saw that on your
And
LinkedIn profile. Yep. Yep.
yeah, and then I just went in all in, man. I drank the Kool-Aid and took all the training and got a lot of success early on. And I did that for a number of years. Like I'm still technically an advisor now, but I left New York Life and I have my own RIA. I'm not taking new clients anymore. But I did that. I mean, I'm doing this 17 years almost now.
Wow.
And
Very good. All types of people. Are you talking people that make 200 grand a year up to people that make millions of dollars a year? I mean, what did you have all
yeah,
types of
all
people in your?
across the board, especially early on when I mean, it's a really tough industry to get a profession to be in. There's no
Yes.
consistent. I haven't had the same paycheck in 17 years, right? So
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think all
Yeah.
entrepreneurs can appreciate that.
Yeah. No doubt.
It's sales, it's odd hours, it's stress, it's
Yes.
debt.
Yes. All of it.
All of it, man, all of it. And which I had a lot of fun, and I still had a lot of great clients at the small firm that I have now.
Okay.
But it led me to like tap into my entrepreneurial spirit more than ever. Because I do not come from a family of entrepreneurs, all like corporate or education, medicine background, no entrepreneur at all.
Well, where'd that
But I
bug
always
come from
felt
then?
like,
Was there like a friend or an uncle or a mentor? Like, was there somebody that sparked that?
no,
Interesting. Okay. All right.
no, not really. I guess a little bit. The best man at my wedding, he and I lived together for a couple of years before we were married, and his family owned a business, and he owned the house that I rented a room from in him. So that opened me up a little bit to like, oh, people can make money in real estate. Oh,
Yeah.
people can own their own business.
Yeah.
Wow, what's
Cool.
all that stuff? But then I became an advisor, and I kind of went off on this tangent for a while and didn't pay attention to any of it.
Okay. All right. So but now the entrepreneurial bug is kicking in. You've been doing it for 17 years. Yeah. And tell me what happens.
Well,
How did
what's
you, yep.
cool
Yep.
is that like when you get into, I think a lot of entrepreneurs probably will understand this. This will resonate with them. But when you are ingrained in a certain industry, a sector, a profession, as much as I was and still am, you start to see like, hey, there are problems here that, if
Yes.
solved, could help a lot of people.
Mm. Yep.
And my business got to a point where my wife and I are very comfortable financially to do the things that we wanted to do. And I didn't feel like scaling my advisory practice to be this massive behemoth with a lot of in-house staff. And in fact, I actually was one of the first in the country to take my entire practice remote. I actually started that transition back in 2013. So my
Being in
entire
an,
wealth practice
yeah.
is
Yeah.
virtual.
So being in an office with a bunch of people working for you and employees, you're like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
No, like I did the suit and tie thing for a while. I had a brick and mortar office for a while and employees. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, like it was supposed to be cool and exciting. And it definitely, it was like, just felt like a ball and chain. So I ditched all that and really got into pursuing what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And so I started going after these problems that I saw and that I wanted to solve while still running my advisory practice, but taking less and less clients. And actually about a year ago, I unloaded hundreds of clients to some other junior advisors just so I could focus the majority of my time on these passions that I really want to do moving forward.
Wow. That was a big move. That's a risky move a little bit right there. Yeah.
Well, I think if anything, maybe I didn't know it, but risk has been in my name for a long time. I'm just used to it. I don't know if I seek it out on purpose or what, but I guess it's just part of my lifestyle is taking, well, more now than ever, but more calculated risks. Before it was just stupid risks. Now it's more calculated.
Yeah, good point. I wanted to mention that for the listeners. So at this point though, before you unloaded those and you went down the road of entrepreneurship with Couplr and other things, you had good savings, you were secure financially at home, you probably have some other, I'm guessing you have some real estate of some kind or whatever. And so you had some room, so to speak, to maneuver into this. It wasn't like you were eating ramen noodles right away. So you prepared
Correct.
for it.
We prepared for like I've got gray hair in my early 40s for a reason, because I took a lot of those risks earlier on as an advisor. So I understood that roller coaster from early on. So when I started to look at pursuing these other ventures, they were much more calculated risks. They were conversations my wife and I had, like, hey, if we're going to do this, this could happen. How does that affect us? Type of stuff. And someone I did find about 10 years ago who's become a dear friend of mine and mentor. He's exited over 20 companies.
Ooh, wow.
And he has been like a father to me. He's been absolutely like amazing. And he's never asked for anything. He truly relishes in being able to support a younger entrepreneur thrive. So I go to him with all types of questions and problems. And like, he told me a ton about risk management and all of these things. So that's been really helpful as well.
Isn't it interesting? This is a good point for the listeners. Most entrepreneurs that are successful and have had several exits and made money, they're all willing to help. Like all of them will help. And many times I have tried to give back to them either by supplying some sort of equity plan from Riderflex or referral commissions or anything, right? Like I'm always like trying to give back to them, and they're most of the time like, no, I'm fine. I just want to help. Take them to dinner every once in a while. That's all they care about. They don't. It's interesting. They're always willing to help, and so I encourage anybody listening. Yeah, if you want to start a business, there are a ton of people out there that will help you if you'll just ask and network properly. Sorry, I didn't mean to go down a rant there, but
you're spot on. If there's one bit of advice, find a mentor or mentors. You don't need a lot, just one or two.
Right. Yep.
That you can just jump in and that they are willing to support you for the right reasons. They're not asking for equity. They're not asking you to pay them per hour.
Yep.
They're literally there wanting to give back to you for the right reasons. And man, if you can find someone like that, like priceless, absolutely priceless.
Totally agree. Shout out to Taylor Kirkpatrick and many of the other advisors that we have at Riderflex. I don't want to name every one of them right now, but shout out to them. So, okay. So you're talking to this mentor, you're crafting this idea. You want to tell us about how you got into Couplr, or what should you share next in the timeline?
Well, it's funny. So I started an online course, I guess, or training for financial advisors.
Okay.
Well, about 3 years ago this month. It was pre-COVID. That company's called Conneqtor. It's still live. It's still operating. And that's teaching advisors. It's like a new cutting edge training to teach advisors how to thrive in the digital world that we're in.
Okay.
Because a lot of the training for advisors is still pretty dated, like cold calling, door knocking, seminar selling, paper filing cabinets and all of these things. And so I had a lot of success going completely remote and digital. A lot of advisors asked how I did it. I'm like, maybe I can create something. The entrepreneurial business, mindset kicked in. I'm like, okay, one to many, I can figure out a course, I can do this. So that was a lot of fun. That was 6 to 12 months of just intensive content creation, getting it all built and everything, branding. But now it's used by advisors. Let's see here in the States, Canada. It's actually was listed in Canada by the premier continuing education company up there. It serves tens of thousands of advisors a year. They took the course. So that was actually a big win that happened earlier this year. It's used by advisors in Guam, South Africa, Ireland.
Nice.
So that was a lot of fun. And then again, that taught me more and more about what do advisors really need?
Now this course is still available. It's Connect with a Q instead of a C. So CONNEQTOR.co, Conneqtor. You sign up, you just pay like a one-time fee up front, and then you take the course. And yes. How long does the course, I'm assuming it's per user. So if I wanted to do it, I just sign up and take it. Is that right? Per user?
That's exactly right. Instant access. You pay once for lifetime access. We update all the content about once a year.
Okay.
There's a lot of additional resources in there, special discounts for different vendors that we have reviewed and approved to help run their business.
Okay.
Cool. So I mean, they can just jump right in pretty easy. But again, it's scalable. I have a team helping me on that. So my wealth management business, 5-ish hours a week is all I'm spending.
And how about on Connect? And then on Connector, how many hours a week? Yeah. Wow.
Five maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you got it built. Yeah. Once you got it built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your listeners don't get confused here because it doesn't start that way. It starts with unlimited hours.
Yeah. No, it's very good. But hey, now it's almost completely passive income at this point, which is super great.
Exactly.
Did you and your wife own 100% of Conneqtor, or did you take on any cash to get that built?
No, I bootstrapped that 100% myself. So I own 100% of it. Yep.
Congrats. Nice. And you bootstrapped it. Nobody owns anything. You got it going, and it's it's pretty much passive income. Very nice. Congratulations. So what happens? You get bored. You get bored. You're like, this works. Let's try something else. Let's build something else.
I mean, kind of, right? I get, it's almost like I'm addicted to starting companies or just messing with ideas. And so I mean, getting bored, and I'm always trying to tap into my entrepreneurial spirit. And one of the people I've followed for a very long time is Richard Branson of Virgin.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And he's started many, many companies, and that's what he does. He starts them, scales them, and then hires the amazing people to run them so he can go do his next thing.
Yep.
Speaking of him, I actually got to speak to him about a week and a half ago.
Really?
Yeah. So he was doing a LinkedIn live event. And for those of you that don't know, I'm very active on LinkedIn.
Yes, you are. By the way, great. Yeah. Yes, very good. I just wanted to pause you right there. Yeah, your LinkedIn profile is awesome. You do a great job of networking and marketing yourself. And that's how I found you, by the way. That's how I found you to get on the Riderflex podcast, because I saw all the great things you're doing. Awesome. Almost 28,000 followers. Yeah, excellent job. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. So anyway, LinkedIn, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's this live event, and I signed up to go, and I was like one of the first people to raise my hand in the meeting room when they had, everything on. And I was the first person to ask my question directly to him. So I was like, hey, and there's going to be a recording. It'll come out at some point here. But I was like, hey, Richard, thanks so much. Love what you do. And then I asked him about something along the lines about work-life balance. So anyways, he's somebody that I've followed, and it's really cool. I mean, that's a separate story, but what happened is like I did this thing with Conneqtor and found success. And what I've come, like my ideal customer for the last 3+ years has been financial advisors. So I'm serving them and giving back to that community. Okay. And the top two most important things that they need to be successful is, the second one is practice management. How do I run my business? From tech stack to digital marketing to all that stuff, systems, processes. How do I do that? Give me a blueprint. Number one, it's lead generation. If I don't have new clients to speak and work with, then it doesn't matter how smart I am. It doesn't matter what designations or credentials I have. It doesn't matter what my tech stack is or what my products and services are if I don't have anyone to use them with. So,
it's so true. I've talked to so many entrepreneurs on Riderflex podcast. We've had over 300 guests on the show, and so often they'll say, it's all great. Whatever you build is cool. But if you don't have somebody to sell it or lead gen, if you can't get clients, it don't matter.
Exactly. That's exactly it. You need customers to pay for what you have.
Yeah.
Otherwise you do not have a business. You are running a charity that will run you broke.
That's right.
So that'll totally happen. So, I actually had the idea for Couplr before, and life happened and I got sidetracked, but then I had the success with Conneqtor. I'm like, you know what? I got to build this thing.
Okay.
So jumped in with Couplr. I bootstrapped a beta product, or even maybe you could call it an alpha product, just to get it out there and test it and get feedback from potential customers and advisors. Everybody loved it. So earlier this year, I raised a small seed round. I have a co-founder, CTO. I have a strategic founding advisor, and now we're all in. The next version of the product's basically done now, and we're already having conversations with massive potential customers. I can't name names, but these are huge industry players where if we end up doing business with them, we go from zero revenue to multiple 7-figure ARR almost overnight.
It's Couplr, COUPLR.ai, Couplr.ai. Is it, when you say clients or customers, meaning like New York Life or whoever that has financial advisors, and then you're going to connect Steve Urban, me, individual, to find the right advisor over in New York Life or whatever? And you're gonna your business model is to charge the organization. And do you charge the individual too, or just the organizations? What's your business model there?
Yeah, good question. So it's SaaS. The consumer never pays; it's free always.
Okay.
And then customers would be these large enterprise customers where we would partner with them. But most of them, and we even recommend this, is to pass on, because we negotiate a per seat monthly subscription cost, right?
Per seat, per advisor within the organization. Okay, got it. All right.
Within the org, yep.
Right.
So whatever that is, there's a price that we negotiate on that. And then we recommend that they pass that through, at least in part, to the advisors. So there's some skin in the game.
I see. Good move.
It's important. Move. It's really important. It's also easier to sell for the enterprise, right?
Month to month. So you can cancel anytime. Do you have to sign up for a year-long subscription or anything?
The enterprise, we will sign multi-year contracts. Otherwise, it's a stupid business decision for me. But the advisors, and this is, we let our different partners kind of figure this out on their own, but they can turn it on or off month to month. So if they get too many leads and they're too busy, they can turn it off for a month or two, type of thing.
I see.
So we want to give them flexibility, because 9 out of 10 advisors fail. And it's funny because that's about the same statistic for entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And recruiters, by the way.
Yeah.
Interesting. So sorry. So let me make sure I understand the model then. If I'm New York Life or whoever, I'll try. I guess we should use somebody else as an example too. But if I'm these guys, I'm signing a year contract with you for a number of seats, so to speak, like 10, and then I can my guys or girls can rotate in and out of those 10 and turn it off and on. And so you're
Yes.
getting a little bit of money from the organization, and then the rest of the money from, or no, the organization's paying you for the seats. I see. And as
Yep.
those people rotate in and out, they're covering part of the cost. Okay. Yeah, very, very good. A little bit like LinkedIn would be for me as a recruiter firm. I buy a certain number of seats, and then if I have contractors that use it, if I pass along a little bit of the cost to them, very similar then. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So it's highly scalable, very profitable. It's a win
Okay.
for everybody. And compared to our
Nice.
competition, it disrupts all the competition. Our
What's
model
so
is
different about it? Yeah, why? What's yeah, tell me.
all the other lead gen programs out there that I'm aware of, at least, will charge based on net worth. So there's a sliding scale, and you're paying per lead. So, you would pay so one lead, and that's the other thing. One lead can be sold multiple times when it comes in. So you have multiple advisors going after one lead. They've all had to pay for it. They're paying based on net worth. So that can get really expensive. The closing ratio or conversion ratio for those leads is terrible. There's another one that charges basis points. So if I, as the advisor, secure a new client from a lead you give me, I have to pay you, so many bips a year for so many years.
Okay.
So like, and all of these models have had some success, but the feedback I keep hearing from the field is that they don't like it.
And your model is very
alternatives have
simple.
not found it.
Your model is simple so that I pay for the service, and after a few months, if I feel like it's worth it, I keep doing it. If I don't, I turn it off. Is that accurate?
You turn it off, and you pay one price per month for unlimited potential leads.
Yeah, great. Okay, very good. Wow, that's very similar to right now to what we're doing with recruiting. We've started doing something similar. We offer an hourly rate for recruiting where we just say, hey, look, here's a recruiter that we're going to charge you per hour. Turn them off whenever you want. Put in whatever jobs you want, and if you think it's valuable, keep doing it. If you don't, turn it off. Yeah, very simple. I think consumers. I think we all love something easy, right? Easy
Yes.
with no long-term contracts is great, and so that's wonderful. Okay, how
And
do
if
you
you're
protect
providing
your
the value? You'll
Yeah.
keep it, right? Yeah,
That's right.
So
That's
yeah.
right. That's it. If you're
Yep.
providing value, they're going to keep it on. How do you protect yourself there? I mean, I guess can other people just do the same thing? How are you gonna protect yourself from competition?
So we'll be first to market with the way that we're doing it.
Okay.
And it would take a while for others to ramp up to do it. And some of the other players. So the example I use is, we're in a playground. We have our own sandbox in this playground. Nobody else is in our sandbox, but there
Not
are
yet.
other people in the playground,
Okay.
right? So
All
they're
right.
watching us, I'm watching them. But we're still the little guy right now, which is actually good. So they're not paying a whole lot of attention. But some of these other ones have raised so much money that for them to pivot and copy our model would probably be a no-go from their board and investors.
Ooh, good. What was the seed round you raised? How much did you already say? And I missed it.
It was a couple $100,000. It was a small one. None of us are taking a paycheck from it. We don't need it. And
Okay.
our even just one customer, the revenue there, so we can actually bootstrap within. I may never have to raise a round again.
Well, that's good. So right now you're in control, so to speak, of the cap table. Derek's still in control.
Oh yeah, significantly.
Your co-founder doesn't own 50%?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Yeah. Being in control is critical. Okay. So you raise a small seed round. So you're not looking to raise a Series A. That's not even in the works. You're good for right now.
I'm talking to VCs to build those relationships, because you never know what happens. So keep your options open.
Yeah. You never know.
But if I have my druthers, I'll never have to raise a penny again.
Well, good for you. Congratulations. I think that would be awesome. Is this passive income? You're building this for yourself,
No,
your family,
I
your
have that already.
co-founder?
This
Oh,
is
I guess
exit
this is exit. Okay, great. So this is a growth exit plan. This is not I got you. All right.
Yeah,
What?
but I've been very clear with that. This is a game changer for people that came in early.
Okay. Very good. All right. And do you have a mark? Have you ever whiteboarded out? We get to here in revenue and here in profits. Boom, we're selling, or you're just going to build it and then have conversations as you move along.
I have a number I want to hit that I've backed
Okay.
into, with my wife and whatnot. So we know what that number
Bingo.
is. To
I
have the
love that.
lifestyle that we want for our son, for grandkids, hopefully someday, to support our friends and other family members. So
I love that,
we,
Derek. We do the same thing. My co-founder and I at Riderflex, same thing. People ask us like, "Is Riderflex for sale?" I'm like, "Well, you know, we backed into it. Like Scott has said, here's what we want for our family, our personal family. My wife Kim and I say, here's what we want. If the sale of the company provides that number to our families, yeah, let's have the conversation. Yeah, we did the same thing.
exactly. And that's a good way to do it. If you're doing this just for money, for money's sake, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Yeah. Great. Okay, very good. Okay, great. Well, what I love is okay. Now it's already, how big is it right now? I guess, can you share revenue or share number of users? What do you want to share as far as
No,
where
I'm,
it's
I'm
at?
keeping that all real stealth mode on
Okay.
purpose right
Okay.
right now.
All right. All right.
Just being strategic about it. So our tool is white label. So the Couplr brand, I don't care if it's out there or not. What I care about is
Oh,
the revenue.
I see.
So it can
Okay.
be in a lot of different places and people won't even know it, which is fine with me.
Interesting. All right. Wow. So New York Life or whoever can use the SaaS as use the software as a service and label it however they want.
Correct. Yep. Yep. We encourage them to do that. We work with their teams to help them come up with, the best way to do that, how to position it, where to put it on their website and their other environments that they could put this thing in. And yeah, we've got a pretty large, way we can deploy this, and we're already in more than one country.
About that. I love how does an Indiana Jones college student that 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 works with kids that are in trouble and then like as a financial planner, now all of a sudden he's like a tech SaaS
I know,
entrepreneur. Like,
right?
wow, bro. I mean, that's pretty good. I love that. You said it earlier. You're not scared. Hey, you take risks. It's scary, but you're willing to do it, which a lot of people are not. A lot of people are not. But you've done it, and you've done it more strategically as you've gotten older. With
Definitely.
few more safety nets here and there.
Yep.
But you're willing to do it, and that's what separates you from the pack. I mean, the vast majority of people on planet Earth are very comfortable going to work every day, coming home, working for somebody else, making dinner, watching their little TV shows for the night, getting up the next morning and doing it again. Like they're super comfortable with that. And that's cool. If that's what makes you happy, great. Good for
Totally.
you.
Totally.
But some of us, like me and you, there's a bug in there, and it's always making us do risky things and we try to build something.
You're exactly right. And more power to the people that want to hold down a job like that for
Sure.
X amount of years. Like if that's your jam, go rock it. That's great.
Yeah. Totally agree. I mean,
It's just not
yeah.
my jam. I don't do well answering to anybody else other than my wife. So,
Same.
I try to do what I want when I want. And if I fail, so what? I learn in the process.
Right. And that's the other thing. It is okay to fail. And what'd you say? 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs fail. If you're going to start your own business, even if it's a service business, financial planner, recruiter, real estate agent, whatever, chances are you're going to fail. But guess what? If you do, you can just go get a job. I mean, it's not life or death. It's going to get another job that you might hate for a while, but you're not gonna die if
Well,
if
that's
it
it. Like
doesn't.
I didn't like digging out basements with 5-gallon buckets. I, I hated it, but it helped pay the bills, make sure my wife
Yeah.
was okay, until I figured out what needed to happen. So I mean that's just
That's a good
life. And
story.
some people just aren't willing to do things they really don't want to do.
Isn't it so true? I mean, very similar story. I was in Houston one summer as a young man before I knew what I was going to do with my life. and I worked in the refineries in
Oh,
Houston in the summer, and the job was wrapping heating pads around welds that were on pipes, and
awesome.
I still remember as a young man and looking at these guys that at that time, some 40, 50-year-old men been doing it for, all this time. And I'm looking at them going, holy shit, man, what? You've really been doing this for 20 years? Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not,
Oh my gosh. Oh,
yeah, yeah. It's like,
I've had a
oh,
lot of jobs like that, Steve, and they all were brutal, but they taught me, I'm sure like it just taught you what you
yeah,
didn't want to do.
that's right.
Right. And
Absolutely.
like, and 3
Uh,
months or whatever, doing something like that. Wow. Like I respect these people
sure.
for doing this as long as they have, but this is not my cup of tea, man. I got to
No.
go on to something else.
Totally. Absolutely. So Couplr, and you're not taking on any cash, but any organizations interested in using the software, right? Couplr.ai, Couplr.ai. Or Derek is also got a great LinkedIn profile going on. I love his action on LinkedIn. By the way, it's Derek Derek.
Correct.
Derek. Then it's NH Notman. So if you type it in that way, you're going to find him for sure. Plus, oh, did you want to mention the podcast at all? Are you doing that? Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. The one that I'm co-hosting.
Yes.
Yeah, my good friend Adam Holt, who's also a fintech CEO. He was an advisor turned fintech CEO. Funny how this works. He also went remote even before I did as an
Yeah.
advisor. And he and I found each other a couple of years ago at an online conference during COVID.
Okay.
And we just hit it off really, really well, like some people do. And we're like, you know what? Let's start a podcast.
Sure.
We didn't
Why
know
not?
we didn't know how to spell podcast. you know, but we're like, well, let's do it. So we figured it out. We had some great help along the way, and now we try to push out 2 episodes a month, and we're all about rethinking the financial advice industry and profession. So we have
Okay.
fun
Okay.
conversations. We do what's called a rethink tank. So we bring people on 7 to 15 minutes max. And
All
then we
right.
go back and record the podcast around their audio without them there. So then we debate what they said and we don't let them chime back in later. It's a fun format. People love it.
Interesting. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. I love it. How do people find the podcast? What's the best way to look it up?
I think the most downloads is on Apple Podcasts. It's just RethinkFA or Rethink Financial Advice.
Okay. All
And
right.
then
All
Adam
right.
Holt and myself, Derek Notman.
Okay. Now, why did he get to list his name first? No, I'm just giving you a hard time.
I don't know. It doesn't matter. He's
Just,
got more experience than I do. So I'm like, you know what? I'll defer to the old guy on this one.
oh man, that's great. No, hey, running a podcast is very hard to do consistently for a long time, as you probably already know.
Oh man,
We've gotten over 300 guests now on the show,
it's
and
amazing.
we've been doing it for like 4 years, and it's hard. Like just the sheer amount of time it takes
Mm-hmm.
to do a podcast. Every time somebody calls me, they're like, "I'm going to start my own podcast." I'm like, "Okay, call me in 6 months. Let me know how it works out."
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's so much like it's not just showing up like we're doing today.
Yeah, no,
For the guest it is, but for the
mm,
producers, there's so much involved. And
absolutely.
so if you're thinking of starting a podcast to like promote your business, think twice,
Uh,
please.
think
It's a lot
twice.
more time and work.
Yes, sir. Sure is. Hey, Derek, thank you so much for being on the Riderflex podcast, sharing your story. Congratulations, man. Really cool story. The different turns and paths that you have taken are great. Love it. And congratulations, my friend. Really, congrats.
Well, thank you, Steve. I really appreciate it. This was a fun one. I haven't done one this personal before. So this has been a fun conversation, and I appreciate your great questions and just a really fun conversation.